What's up, Tribe? How you guys doing? Sorry. Thought about something as soon as I turn on the camera. How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be Power Book 2, Season 1, Episode 5. And I guess we were some sort of mid-season finale because at the end of this episode, they were like new episodes coming in December. So I guess we want like a mid-season break. Anyway. So we start this episode off. It's Tariq's 18th birthday. And we see this whole scene with his mom and his grandmother and the baby, who ain't a baby anymore, and they're singing happy birthday, and he's got a cake and everything. And there's a knock at the door, and of course the mom is like, who at the door? You know. And she goes, and they look like they were at her old apartment, the apartment that she was in when she left Ghost, that little apartment. And she goes to open the door, and who's at the door but the twin? And the twin was like, hey, mom, sorry I'm late. And she was like, oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I wasn't there to protect you. I wasn't there. I'm so sorry. And she was like, Ma, why you acting funky? Like, what's wrong with you? You acting really weird. And I mean, it's obviously a dream. Like, you figure that out really early that it's a dream. And it's Tasha's dream. She wakes up. She immediately calls Tariq, wishes him a happy birthday. And, she was like, I got to see you on my birthday, which I don't think Tariq ever made it to go see his mama. But anyway, he said he was coming, but he had a test. At that moment, we see Kanan, waiting for him. Kanan, y'all know what I'm talking about, waiting for him. And he was like, Monet wants to see you. And Tariq was like, well, why does Monet want to see me? He was like, I don't know, but she want to see you. Like, get in the car. So they headed out. Now, while that's going on, we see Sax going to visit Tamika. And basically, he was like, listen, I know you got this subpoena, but I'm going to need you not to testify. And she was like, yeah, that's not going to happen because I got a subpoena and I'm going to be under oath. And he was like, well, you can't tell them that I was at Truth that night. And she was like, if he asks me, I'm going to tell him, and I'm going to also let him know that you're being blackmailed. She was like, lucky for you, you ain't telling me who was blackmailing you because I would tell him that too. And he was like, okay, but if you do that, you'll ruin my life. And she was like, not really concerned about your life. And he was like, well, she said, why don't you just make it easy on yourself and just drop the charges? Like, Tasha is no daggone queen pin. I don't understand why no one has figured out that Sax isn't doing this because he wants to do this, that there is somebody making him do this. Like, I ain't figured out why no one, like, Tasha, Tamika, you figured out that Tasha was protecting somebody and that it was probably Tariq. Why you ain't figured out that Sax isn't doing this because he wants to do this? But whatever, child. Anyway. So then Sax was like, well, listen, Tariq was the one that saw me. And so if you say something, then I'm going to be forced to say who it was. And the person who it was who? Tariq. So, and Tamika was like, well, that sounds like it's a you problem. Sorry. So then we see Tariq. Then we see Monet with Diana. And Monet is letting Diana know, look, basically she's giving her these lessons. And in my estimation, basically what she is letting her know is you're the woman of the family, and so you have a weapon that the rest of them don't have. And you're going to have to, and I need to teach you how to use your femininity, shouts out to Alexander Rogers, in the best way without becoming a hoe, I guess. And she was like, and just at that moment, the police officer that she's messing with was Rodriguez. He shows up, and she was like, let me show you. And so she was like, you give it to him, and then you take it away. She was like, let me show you what I'm talking about. And so she goes over to the door, and she basically cusses him out, tells him not to come through, that he's getting a little too comfortable, and he's, he thinks he knows what he's talking about, and he don't really know what he's talking about. And, I'm sorry, I got that all wrong. That she's basically like, you getting a little too comfortable coming to the house. I told you to stay away, and that's what I meant. And I'm going to need you to leave. And she was real nasty and real rude to him. And of course, he was looking at her like, what is wrong with you? And she was like, I told you I got a business to run. Like, I don't have time to be, whenever you come and I'm supposed to just jump when you get here. She was like, from now on, when I want to be bothered, I'll call you. And he was like, but why are you tripping? Like, he was so confused. And as he's walking off, you see Tariq and Kanan, I keep wanting to call him Kanan, but it's King. I think it's King. Anyway, you see them pulling up, and basically they're having a conversation about how, the cop looks out for them and that, he good people or whatever. And Tariq was like, okay, so why is he rolling out from y'all house in the middle of the day? Like, isn't that bringing like attention to y'all? That's kind of high. He was like, what y'all paying him? Like, how much are y'all paying him for this protection? And then, of course, Keenan, you got this crazy look on his face, and Tariq immediately knows what's going on, right? He connects those dots. And, of course, King is not happy about it at all. And as soon as he walks in the house, he proceeds to let his mama know how he is not happy with the whole situation. And she basically tells him, shut up and go sit down somewhere, and, like, I'm going to need you to stay the hell out of my business. So she gets Tariq alone, and she starts questioning Tariq about the drawing that Drew had of the dude that he had hooked up with last week. And Tariq was like, I don't know who that is. He was like, listen, between doing my work, doing Zeke's work, moving your product, like, I ain't got time to keep up with everybody, and I don't know who that dude is. And she was just like, you sure? He was like, why don't you ask Zeke? Zeke might know who that is. Which, of course, was a hint to her that the dude was on the basketball team. But she was, he was like, but I don't have nothing to do with that. So she was like, oh, all right then. And at first, I was a little confused by it. I'm still a little confused on the back end, but we'll get there. Then Therese get a text from Saxe. Mind you, he got to Monet's house with King, but then he left. I'm like, what does your Uber bill look like, Tariq? What does you gotta be like Uber VIP status at this point, because how the fuck are you getting all around New York as fast as you're getting around New York? Like, I'm not understanding. So then he meets with Saxe, and Saxe basically gives him the rundown and says, listen, if Tamika testifies, she's gonna be forced to say who she saw down at Truth, which is me. And then I'm going to have to be forced to let them know that I saw you saw me. And then they're going to be questioning why you were down there and why this hadn't come up before. And it just ain't going to be good for your mother. And because at first, Tariq was like, that sounds like a you problem. Like, Tamika testifying. Because at the end of the day, what Tamika knows can get the case thrown out, right? But then once Saxe breaks all of that down, now Tariq is like, now, he don't really show his hand. He gets out the car without giving Saxe a definitive one way or the other. But then, of course, he immediately calls his mother. And he's like, yo, what is going on, like, with this whole Tamika situation? And he tells his mother what the deal is. And he reveals to his mother, listen, Saxe knows that I saw Saxe. He knows that I saw him, and I was blackmailing him to get him to help you. And she was like, why aren't you telling me? You just like your father. This the same thing he used to do. He wouldn't tell me. We were supposed to be telling each other the truth. And he was like, I ain't like that dude. Don't call me him. I ain't nothing like him. And she was like, but you acted just like him. And then she proceeds to tell Tariq that Tamika had figured out that he was the one that shot in the first place, and that's why she had to fire her. And he was like, now who keeping secrets? I was like, y'all are stupid. And so anyway, she tells Tariq, listen, don't worry about it. From here, I got it. I'll handle it. You just enjoy being an 18-year-old. So, then we see Saxe and his niece. Saxe is trying to get information from the niece. The niece has started messing with Brayden, and she was like, listen, I'm at the room most nights, and I don't really see nothing. Like, he's hardly ever there, and when he is there, he don't really do no whole lot of talking. And, Saxe is like, so you sleeping with Tariq? Like, I didn't tell you to do that. She said, I ain't sleeping with Tariq. I'm sleeping with his roommate. And, things are working. And he was like, listen, now that you're in, I need you to observe what's going on. I need to know what's going on, because I don't know how in the world Tariq is paying for his lawyer. And if I can figure out how, if he's doing anything illegal or salacious, then I can, of course, then I can get Davis thrown off the case, and then boom, boom, bow. So the niece is like, all right, I'll handle it, Uncle Nancy. Because that's what they call Saxe, Nancy. Uncle Nancy, we can handle it. Next thing you know, we are in Jabari's class. Tariq is late again. He rolls up in there, and of course, and the other thing I want y'all to pay attention to, and I meant to say this when I was talking to my podcast folks. I'm gonna say this to them. I put it in the chat. I forgot. Pay attention to the books that they're covering in each episode. Every book that they're covering is directly connected to what is going on at that moment in the show. So, anyway, so Jabari is speaking on the book of the week. Tariq comes in with his 15-page paper, and Jabari now tells him, listen, you know, to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. To be late is to be, you know, what is it? Forgetful, whatever. And he tells Tariq, now that you've come in here late, your 15, he said, I collected the 15-page paper at the beginning of class. Now it's a 25-page paper. And listen, professors really do that. Okay, that's not something that's exaggerated for this show. I had a professor in one of my grad programs who he wouldn't he did a quiz at the beginning of every class. And if you were late for class, you got a 0. He locked his door before the quiz started. We took the quiz. If you was on the other side of that door, when he closed the door and locked it, it was just a 0, automatic, no matter what. He don't care if you had car trouble. He don't care if your babysitter canceled. He don't care if your boyfriend broke up with you. He didn't care what your issue was. If you were not on time for class, you got a 0 on that quiz. I bet you people was on time for class. Okay? So, at the end of class, Jabari tries to talk to Tariq. And, you know, he tries to give Tariq the old, I understand you got a lot going on with your parents and with your family and everything, but you are a representative of black men, and you just can't be the stereotype. And Tariq let him know, like, listen, you're not my daddy. You're not going to be my daddy. I'm going to need you to, you know, lay up off me playing the whole, I'm trying to be, you know, your mentor type situation. Either you're going to take the paper or you're not. He basically rolled out, you know. He pulled a Tariq on him, honey, and he rolled out. So, after class, Tariq ends up meeting up with Drew. And Tariq lets Drew know, listen, you know, Monet tried to, you know, question me about the dude that you was messing with, but I ain't say nothing. And Drew was like, I don't know why not. Like, it ain't no secret. Like, the whole family knows how I roll. That was a test. Monet was trying to see if you was going to be loyal to her or loyal to me. Tariq was like, oh. So basically, she wanted to know if I was going to have your back or I was going to have her back. He was like, yeah. And what you showed her is that you are loyal to me and not loyal to her because you didn't say nothing. Now, my question is, what if Tariq really didn't know who the hell that dude was? Okay, but whatever. So then we see Mary J. Blige having another lesson with her daughter saying, listen, Tariq failed my little test, so I know he you know, he don't trust me yet. He don't trust Drew and King because he know the minute he see them, he gonna know it's a setup. So I need you to get close to him, but not too close. You know, don't get caught up. Don't get in your feelings. But I need you to get close to Tariq and see what the real deal is. I need you to do that for me. All right, Ma, I can do it. I can handle it. So then we see Braden with his girlfriend, and he's getting ready to have a surprise party for Tariq. So he's buying up a bunch of liquor or whatever, and Sax's niece is asking all these questions. And Braden is like, yo, why are you asking me so many questions about Tariq? Like, I don't know where Tariq goes. I don't know what he does. I respect his boundaries. It is what it is. Like, what's going on here? Zeke rolls up, and he invites Zeke to come to the party, tell him to bring some friends, you know, and they're going to have this party for Tariq. And, you know, Zeke is, like, flirting with the girlfriend in front of Braden. Braden was like, yo, bro, back up off it. It's me. But bring your hoes to the party, and we can all have a good time. Now, while this is going on, Tasha meets with Davis and lets Davis know, listen, I don't want Tamika to testify. I need you to withdraw the subpoena. And David was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Like, the information that Tamika knows could, basically, you could be going home. Like, we could get this whole thing dropped, and you could be going home the next day. And Tasha was like, listen, at the end of the day, who's the client? Like, I'm telling you, I don't want her to testify, and I need you to withdraw the subpoena. And Davis was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I know this is our best chance of winning, and I'm not withdrawing anything. So, yeah, have a good day. So, of course, Tasha now, she thought she had it all handled. She was like, I'm the client. He was like, yeah, and I'm the lawyer, and I'm calling her. Deal with it. So then we see Jabari meeting with his literary agent, right? And dude was like, listen, you could tell that him and, Jabari had passed. They seem to have a little good rapport until he tells Jabari basically, your manuscript is trash. I can't take this. He was like, listen, I'm not doing these little, black authors anymore, okay? I have moved up the ranks. It's one of those conversations where white is better, which was kind of irritating me because it was almost like he was saying, I'm working with white authors now, and so I can't be bothered with your trash, and I'm not going to waste whatever equity I have if your book ain't good enough. And I feel like he equated his success to having white writers on his roster now, but that's another conversation for another day, child. But and of course, Jabari felt the same way, and Jabari sort of called him out. And he was like, listen, at the end of the day, your first book was everything. Your second book was trash. So understand this is your last best chance to make this happen. So either you're going to make it happen and it's going to be what it's going to be, or it's just going to be trash. And you're going to be on the outside looking in. Like, it is what it is. At that point, Tariq shows up. And Jabari's like, what are you doing here? He was like, well, your teaching assistant told me this way I could find you. And, of course, Tariq did the shit that he does. I really want to apologize, sir, for my rude comments earlier. I know there's no excuse for it. And, the best way is to show change behavior. So here's your paper, and I promise I won't be late for your class anymore. I was like, whatever, Tariq. And then, of course, he shakes his hand. So then Tasha calls Tariq, lets Tariq know that she wasn't able to get Davis to withdraw the subpoena, and now she needs Tariq to go and see Tamika and talk her out of it. And Tariq was like, well, what if I can't? She was like, I'm going to need you to convince her. You make her. And I was like, now, earlier in the episode, Tariq offered to basically kill her. And she was like, no! What are you talking about? You can't be out here just killing people. Now you're basically telling him to do it. So he gets to Tamika's house, and Tamika is like, Tariq, what are you doing here? So she lets Tariq, and Tariq got his gun ready, like he getting ready to do something. And he's trying to convince Tamika that she can't testify. And he goes on and confesses to Tamika that he was the one that saw Saxe at Truth, and that, he didn't say anything, and how bad it would look if he had to testify now, and that he saw Tommy Egan kill his dad. And she was like, okay, well, Tasha already said that in open court, so what's the big deal? He was like, well, she's in prison, she's protected. I'm out here on the streets by myself. If that comes out, I could be in danger. If I have to testify, I could be in danger. Now, she's still refusing to testify. She's trying to explain to him, like, listen, with my testimony, your mother could go home. Like, my testimony could get your mother out of jail the same day. At that moment, Davis is banging at her door. So she goes to answer the door, and of course she is like, why does everybody know where the hell I live? And while Davis is talking to her, he's trying to get in the house, and she won't let Davis in. And Davis was like, who in there? Like, is Saxe in there? I know somebody's in there. Who's in the house with you? And she was like, nobody's in here. Nobody's in here. And Tariq actually sneaks out the back door while Davis comes through the front door. And so Davis was like, listen, you're going to have to explain to me why they don't want you to testify. Like, what's going on? And I need the truth. And so she ends up, we don't see that part, but she ends up letting Davis know what's going on. Tariq gets a text after he escapes, from the house. Tariq gets a text from Brayden telling him to get down to the frat house 911. And of course, it's his surprise party. They get to the party, and of course, Tariq is unimpressed because he don't want to celebrate his birthday. He's got that whole survivor's guilt and remorse. Because he's dead, his sister's dead, and all that good stuff. So, he could care less about celebrating his birthday. Once again, Saxe's daughter is giving Brayden the fifth degree or the third degree. I said the fifth degree, didn't I? The third degree on why, about Tariq. And Brayden finally says, listen, I'm really sick of this. I don't understand your issue. I don't know why you asking so many questions about Tariq, but I'm going to need you to chill out. I'm going to need you to back up. And he goes to check on Tariq because Brayden's brother had actually knocked a drink on Tariq when he first came into the house, and Tariq was upset. He went upstairs, he had juice all over him or liquor or whatever. So the girlfriend decides that she's going to drug Brayden's drink, which was stupid, but okay. Later on, she explains that she did it because she thought that she could get him to loosen up and talk a little bit more about, Tariq if he basically was drugged, While Tariq is in the bathroom, he takes the gun out of his pocket where he had it ready to shoot, Tamika's ass, and puts it in his book bag. He calls his mom and lets his mother know that it didn't work out, that he failed her, and she was like, "No, it's fine. I'm gonna do what I gotta do." She ends up calling and leaving a message for David saying she wants to take the plea, that she don't want any. She doesn't. She wants to withdraw. She doesn't want to go to trial. She just wants to take the plea and move on. That's her way of handling it. Okay. Now, while they're at the party, Tariq comes downstairs, and of course Zeke is there. Who else is there with Zeke? Diana and Drew. Drew sees his little boyfriend, the little basketball player, and dude totally swerves him. He hits him with the "Yo, what's up, bro?" And Drew was like, "Okay." And he gets upset and he runs out of the little party or whatever. Diana is trying to be all thirsty up on Tariq, and Tariq see her coming a mile away. Tariq was like, "Okay, so you sent Drew, you sent Kanan. Okay, now you got Diana. Like, I already saw this. Diana already told me when I was trying to hang out with y'all. So you should have let Tariq hang out with Diana in the beginning, and Tariq might not be so suspicious. But now, after you was clear that you didn't want nothing to do with Tariq and you didn't want Diana to have nothing to do with Tariq, now all of a sudden Diana comes sniffing around. It's obvious. Like, it's duh. Hello." So, all of a sudden, Tariq is so concerned about where Drew went. "Well, where's Drew?" And she was like, "I don't know." He was like, "Well, he ran out of here, It's not safe for him to be walking around out here, This is the white side of town." And she was like, "Officer Ramirez gave us a little, I don't know. Is it Ramirez, Rodriguez? Anyway, it's an R. Gave them, little passes you get from, if you know cops, whatever." So she was like, "He good." He was like, "Yeah, but if he pushing product and he get caught, making a sale, that ain't gonna help him. We really need to go check on him. And she was like, "All right, Tariq, fine. Okay, like, let's go check on Drew." And just as that happens, here come Lauren come walking through the door. Well, once Tariq saw Lauren, honey, Braden had to let Tariq know, "Yo, Lauren is here. What's up?" Braden ends up giving Tariq his drink, which of course was the drink that has the drugs in it, because the girlfriend was trying to drug Braden. And Tariq ends up going upstairs. Sorry. Tariq ends up going upstairs with Lauren for them to do whatever they gonna do. Diana is pissed off because she feels like, she sort of failed her little mission. She goes outside and finds Drew. Drew is in the car talking to the boyfriend. Now clearly it's not his boyfriend, but it's clear that him and Dude have had more conversations after their little, hookup. But Dude was like, "Listen, my situation is different. Like, I am an athlete up here at the school, and like I just can't live. I can't live open." And he was like, and Diana walks up and is like, "Who's this?" And basically Diana lets him know, "I know you. Like, I know who you are. I know what you and Drew got going on. It is what it is." And the boyfriend finds out that not only does everybody know, except for, but that they're also Zeke's family. And he was like, "Oh my God," because of course he's on the basketball team with Zeke. And he was like, "Listen, Zeke doesn't know, and ain't nobody gonna say nothing to Zeke. But at the end of the day, you really need to, grow some balls, and live your life out loud." Honey, the boyfriend jumps out the car and runs off. He was like, "I don't want no parts of this." So then, yeah, we'll get back to the party. So while this is going on, we got Jabari and Carrie. Now, Jabari is in his office. He's supposed to be working on this book, but he's really over there ordering sneakers, honey. And he's ordering some sort of sneakers. I don't know, a sneaker from Mahika, but he was ordering some sneakers instead of writing his paper. He tries to push up on Carrie, and Carrie was like, "Nope. You always pull me in. You always get me caught up in your situation and your shenanigans. You will not do it today. That is not how it's going to go down. I'm out of here." So she rolls out. Leaves Jabari sitting there trying to figure it all out, honey. I'm almost done, y'all. We almost done. Now, next thing you know, we see Carrie down to the little restaurant or whatever. I guess doing grading papers, doing whatever it is that she doing. And here comes Zeke. And of course, Zeke put on his swerve and he get the flirting or whatever. And she was like, "I'm surprised to see you here. Shouldn't you be at a frat party or something?" He was like, "Yeah, that's where I was. But, it gets kind of old. The same women doing the same thing. Everybody, just trying to push up on me because, they think I'm going to the NBA, and I don't know who's real from who's fake. And she was like, well, I thought, she was like, most athletes I know, they love it. He was like, yeah, it was cool in high school, but like, I'm over it. And I'm kind of looking for. I want to be more. I wanted to be more. So then she says, well, what about your family? And we don't find out a whole lot about Zeke, but what we do find out is that his mom, he don't really talk about her. So whatever is the situation with his mom, she's out somewhere doing what she's doing. Daddy never knew him, and he moved in with Monet and the family when he was in high school. So we know a little bit more, but not a whole lot more. But next thing you know, honey, it's getting late. She's like, you know what? It's time for me to go. She gets up. Next thing I know, Zeke and Carrie are having sex in the bathroom. And she talking about something, I really shouldn't be doing this. They don't. Famous last words. Why are you having sex with your student in the bathroom? Okay. Back over to the party. Tariq has gone upstairs with Lauren. He getting his swerve on. He really backing with her. And she's feeling him. He told her, that, old boy. Jabari was blowing up her phone the whole time. I don't understand why he don't understand. No means no and yes means yes. But whatever. That was going on too. And she was like, so, Tariq is starting to feel the effects of the drugs, And Lauren thinks that he's just getting drunk. Like, she's like, you really are lightweight. And he don't think much of it either, because he said he doesn't drink anymore. He said, I was around people who drank, and it made them different people, and I don't like it. I never wanted to be that person. Of course, talking about his daddy. And then he said, I used to drink lean, but I stopped doing that too. And Lauren, so, they go in for a kiss, and Lauren was like, stop. I don't want it like this. You're drunk. This is not how I want it to happen. And Tariq was like, I ain't drunk. Next thing you know, he passes out, right? She leaves him in there. Old girl, Sax's niece, comes rolling into the room, and she puts a GPS tracker on his phone, right? I don't understand what that was for. Of course, it conveniently comes in handy, but who does that? Because at first I was like, okay, who does that? Anyway, like, who thinks to put a tracker on somebody? Anyway. So, as she's leaving out of the room they were in was actually Braden's brother's room, who's drunk. And he automatically assumes that the girl was sleeping with Tariq. He was like, oh, so you getting in with, that's my boyfriend. That's my brother's girl. Oh, that's what's going on. That's what's up. That's what's up. And of course he tries to hit on her, and she, tells him he's an asshole. Then, the brother goes in the room and puts Tariq out. He was like, you ain't sleeping in my room tonight. Get your ass up out my room. Bye. Like, you're not sleeping up in here. So, of course, Tariq is stumbling and slurring, and he was like, fuck you, whatever. Tariq ends up stumbling down the steps. He runs into Braden. He cusses Braden out. I don't know why, but he does. Braden is like, yo, bro, what's your problem? Like, I put this party together for you. He was like, but I ain't asked you to. I don't like birthdays. That's not what I like to do. Next thing you know, Sax's niece calls Sax to let him know what happened. Like, listen, I thought I could, loosen Tariq up a little bit. Loosen Braden up a little bit, but Tariq actually ended up drinking, Braden's drink, and he's stumbling around, drunk, high, whatever, and I'm scared. I don't know where he is. And Sax was like, well, where, she was like, I know where he is, but I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And he was like, how do you know where he is? I put a tracker on his phone. Sax was like, you did what? He was like, I didn't ask you to do none of this. I asked you to observe. I ain't asked you to talk to Tariq. I ain't asked you to have a conversation with Tariq. I asked you to observe. You did a whole lot. You did the most. You did too much. So, while this is going on, Tariq did actually have like a little bit of a conversation with Diana before he left. And Diana now got an attitude, and she want to know what you doing here, why you talking to me. And Tariq was like, I just was like seeing how you doing or whatever. Mind you, he's still drunk and stumbling around. And she was like, well, I like to, I like to have my space. I don't like to be bothered. Tariq was like, I respect it. Walked off. Mind you, she was trying to do what Mary J. Blige did earlier in the episode, where she was like, well, I tried to pull him close. That didn't work. Let me push him away and see if that worked. It didn't. Tariq kept it moving. So while this is going on, Jabari is sitting in his office, still ain't wrote nothing on his paper, trying to figure out what the heck am I gonna write my book about. Now Carrie told him, just write about what's in front of you. Like, your first book was good because you just wrote about what was in front of you. He was like, yeah, but I don't have you anymore. Because remember, they were together, they was a couple, whatever. Baby, he picks up Tariq's paper and starts reading Tariq's paper. And I guess it got good to him. Next thing you know, he typing Tariq's paper, honey. He didn't copy Tariq's damn paper. So he done stole from the 18-year-old. Because, of course, the 18-year-old's paper for a class gonna be better than whatever Jabari's writing, right? Bye. So, while all of this is going on, Tariq, who is drunk and stumbling, manages to get back to his room, change his clothes into a black suit and his black overcoat, and stumble his way to the cemetery where his sister and his dad are buried. How the fuck is Tariq getting around New York? I know I asked that question already, but I really need an answer. Is he Ubering? You know he not catching the damn subway. What is he doing? And you were so drunk that you were passed out, but you was cool enough to get dressed, undressed and redressed into a suit that was perfectly matched and put together, and get to the damn cemetery. So they get to the cemetery, y'all. I'm sorry this is long. My bad. 2 more minutes. We done. We get to the cemetery, and of course, he tells Raina, I'm sorry. I thought, that killing Ray Ray was going to help you or help me feel better, but it didn't because it didn't bring you back. I'm so sorry. It should be me in there. Then he goes over to Ghost Grave, and he, of course, and this is all your fault. And, and I did, I did what you didn't have the balls to do. I did what you would have done. And who was sitting there videotaping the whole thing and miraculously has pretty good sound, even though he's not standing anywhere close to Tariq, is Sax. So the next day, Tariq wakes up and Braden is pissed off and cussing him out. And they get into an argument. And Braden is like, listen, at the end of the day, we're partners. You treat me like shit. You don't tell me nothing. I don't know anything. If something happens to you, I don't know nothing. And Tariq was like, well, I'm trying to protect you. Because if something happens to me, the first thing the police want to do is come talking to you. And Braden was like, exactly. So I need to know what not to say, what to say. I need to figure it out. So Tariq breaks down the whole organization. Who's the head? Who's the family? Who the players are. He uses the chessboard to break down the pieces of the chessboard. Now, if you play chess like I play chess, you understand the different positions and who plays what position. Okay, I'm not getting into all of that. It's not that serious. I'm sure we'll revisit it at a later time. But needless to say, he broke it down for him. And he told Braden, listen, if I come up missing, this is what you do first, this is what you do second, and if all else fails, take out the whole fucking board. Boom. Back at the house, we got Mary J. Blige debriefing Diana, wanting to know what you did, what you didn't do, what you learned. And basically, Diana blew it. And she told Diana you blew it. So you didn't get Tariq to trust you. Like, you came on too hard. You pushed too hard. She said, well, I did get this. Oh, I forgot that part. She ended up stealing Tariq's gun off of him while he was half drunk, stumbling. She stole the gun. And she gonna tell her mother, I did get this off of Tariq, his gun. Mary J. Blige was like, okay, so he got a gun. Duh, he should have a gun. He is pushing major fucking weight on a college campus. Like, he should be walking around with a gun. So basically, and when it come up missing, and he realizes it's missing, who the hell you think he gonna come to first? You? Drew? Like, it's gonna lead back to us. So basically, you failed. That was stupid. Go to your room. Okay. Then Braden's brother breaks into their room and goes straight to the hidden wall, because that was the wall that they knew that's where because that was actually the same dorm room his father had, and his father had a secret stash. So I guess the brother done figured out that Braden is pushing drugs, so he goes to the secret stash. The whole fucking stash is in that wall. Why he robbed him? Took all the drugs. Then we have Tariq showing up at the house with Monet. They pat Tariq down. He don't have a gun. Monet was like, um, basically, I guess they had this moment where Monet was like, "Who you loyal to? Like, you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me who Tariq, who the real dude was in the picture. Like, who are you loyal to? I can't trust. My kids. Who do you trust? Which one of my kids should I trust most?" He was like, "Me." And she was like, "Oh, my nigga." I don't understand none of that. I'm gonna have to get somebody else to break that down for me because that whole chess situation didn't make no sense to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Um, um, and then I said 2 minutes. I lied. My bad, y'all. Damn, this might as well be a whole episode. God, Lee, I didn't realize I was talking this long. Um, then she makes King. She makes King give Tariq his gun, which I don't understand that play, but okay, whatever. Then we see Davis meet up with Sax. And basically they realize that they're at an impasse. Because Davis let Sax know, listen, I talked to Tamika and she told me X, Y, and Z. So you need to go ahead and drop the charges against my client or I'm going to be forced to put her on the stand and she going to tell it. Sax was like, before you do that, let me let you listen to something. So he lets him listen to the tape of Tariq basically confessing to killing his father. So Davis and Sax come to a conclusion like, listen, you know that she ain't no kingpin, but we both know that she didn't kill her husband. We know who did. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go ahead and move forward with the trial and get Tariq on the stand, and on cross-examination, you do what you gotta do. And Sax was like, you good with that? He was like, listen, Tariq ain't my client. Tasha is. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be a win in my column, and the rest ain't my concern or my problem. Sax was like, cool. At the end of the day, the right person's gonna go to jail for the murder of James St. Patrick, and that is what it is. And that's where the episode ended. I'm sorry this was so long-winded, y'all. I really am. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments, please.